Hey there, and welcome to Momma Drama and Trauma. I'm your host, Jenny Kimmel, and today we're talking about something that feels really important to name. What it looks like when your body is still living in survival mode, even when your life has quieted down. Sometimes I don't even realize I'm holding my breath. I'll catch myself sitting there, jaw tight, shoulders lifted, breath shallow. And nothing is technically wrong in that moment, but my body is still braced. And I didn't realize how long my body had been braced until I laid on Dr. Christie's table and just let everything go. And she kept telling me to release it and let it out. That was the moment I realized how long I had been carrying everything inside my body and not letting it go. It wasn't just stress. It wasn't just being busy. It was survival living inside my breath. I remember feeling it first in my chest, that heavy place that feels like it's been holding everything in. And in that moment, all I wanted was for it to leave my body. All of it. The tension, the heaviness, the energy I had been carrying for so long. I didn't want to carry it anymore. I didn't want to keep living like that. I didn't want to live braced anymore. I didn't want to live heavy anymore. I just wanted it out of me. And that was the moment I realized something. My body hadn't been working against me. It had been protecting me, and it was finally ready to rest. Survival lives in the body before it lives in the mind. For a long time, I thought survival mode was something that lived in your thoughts, in your worries, in your fears, in your overthinking. I thought if my mind could just calm down, everything else would follow. But what I've learned is that survival doesn't just live in your mind. It lives in your body. It lives in your breath being shallow, in your jaw being clenched, in your shoulders staying lifted, in your stomach staying tense. It lives in how quickly you react, how easily you feel overwhelmed, how hard it feels to slow down, even when you want to. And when you've lived this way for a long time, your body forgets what calm even feels like. You can be sitting on your couch, your house can be quiet, nothing can be wrong. And your body is still on guard, still braced, still ready, still waiting for the next thing. Because your nervous system learned to stay alert in order to survive. Not because you're dramatic, not because you're weak, not because something is wrong with you, but because at some point your body decided it had to stay ready. And that matters. Sometimes we're so hard on ourselves for being reactive or overwhelmed without realizing that our bodies are still operating like something bad could happen at any moment. That doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. It means your body learned how to survive. And now it's learning something new. Sometimes I look back at those last couple of years of my marriage and I honestly don't know how I made it. I was hanging on by a thread. Something had to give. And what finally gave was my body. My body was depleted in a way that's hard to explain unless you've lived it. When I say I was pouring from an empty cup, I mean bone dry. There was nothing left. Not for myself, not emotionally, not physically, not mentally. I wasn't just tired. I was worn down. And when I let myself really feel that now, it makes me sad because I can see how far I let myself go, how small my world became, how much I was just trying to get through the day. I can see how miserable I actually was. And that's hard to admit. It's hard to admit that you stayed somewhere too long, that you ignored your body for years, that you normalized exhaustion because you didn't think you had another choice. but it's also the truth, and naming that truth is part of why healing has even been possible. Because once you realize your body wasn't failing you, it was protecting you, everything starts to shift. And I think this is the part we don't talk about enough. How survival can feel so normal that you stop questioning it. How you can live in a constant state of tension and still function, still show up, still take care of everyone else. From the outside, you look fine, but inside, your body is doing so much work just to hold everything together. I didn't wake up one day and realize I was depleted. It happened slowly, little by little, day by day, moment by moment, until being exhausted felt normal, until being on edge felt normal, until feeling disconnected from myself felt normal. And when something becomes normal, you stop seeing it as a problem. You just think, this is how life is. But it doesn't have to be. And realizing that has been both relieving and heartbreaking at the same time. Relieving because it explains so much. Heartbreaking because I can see how long I lived that way. There were so many moments when my body was asking for rest, and I kept asking it for more patience, more strength, more endurance, and my body gave it until it couldn't anymore. That's the thing about survival mode. It works until it doesn't. And when it stops working, it doesn't mean you failed. It means your body has reached its limit. And limits are not a weakness. They're information. They're your body saying something needs to change. Looking back now, I can see that my body was waving red flags long before my mind was ready to listen. And maybe that's where you are too. Maybe your body has been talking to you in quiet ways, in tension, in exhaustion, in reactivity, and you haven't done anything wrong by missing it. You were surviving, but now maybe you're ready to listen. What my body was trying to tell me. For a long time, I thought I was just tired. I thought I needed more sleep, more coffee, more motivation. I told myself I just needed to push harder, show up more, hold everything together. I really believed that if I could just get through the day, then I'd finally be able to rest. But my body was telling a very different story. It wasn't asking for more effort. It wasn't asking for more discipline. It was asking for rest. It was asking for space. It was asking to breathe. And I ignored it. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't feel like I had a choice. I didn't feel like I had the luxury to slow down because everyone needed me, because things had to keep moving, because my life depended on me staying functional. So I stayed braced. I stayed tense. I stayed alert. I stayed in that mode where you're always slightly on edge, even when nothing is happening. And slowly, I forgot what relaxed even felt like. My jaw stayed clenched. My breath stayed shallow. My shoulders stayed lifted, even in moments that were supposed to feel safe, even in my own home, even at night, even when the day was finally over, laying in bed, everything quiet. I would be laying there getting ready to go to sleep, and I would suddenly notice that my shoulders were raised, almost up toward my ears. My jaw was clenched. My body wasn't relaxed at all. And I would consciously tell myself to relax, to drop my shoulders, to unclench my jaw, to breathe. What's strange is I didn't even notice this until the last couple of years. But once I did, I realized I had probably been doing it for a long time. Years, really. Especially during the last several years of my marriage. Even when the day was finally over, even when nothing was being asked of me anymore. My body was still holding on. It was like my body didn't know the danger had passed, like it didn't trust that it was allowed to rest yet. And that's when I started to understand that this wasn't just stress. It wasn't just being tired. It was survival still living inside my body, not anxious thoughts necessarily, just tension. My jaw would be clenched, my chest would feel tight, and I wouldn't even realize I was holding my breath. I would catch myself and think, what am I doing? Nothing is wrong right now. And I'd tell myself, you're fine. Everything is okay. Just relax. But my body wasn't convinced yet. It was still braced for impact, still waiting for something else to fall apart, still holding everything inside. And that's the part that's hard to explain unless you've lived it. Because from the outside, everything might look calm, but inside, your body is still working overtime. And sometimes I would just sit there and feel tired in a way that sleep didn't touch. Not the kind of tired where you just need a nap. Tired in my bones, tired in my chest, tired in my breath, that deep, worn down, tired. The kind of tired that makes even small things feel heavy, the kind of tired that makes you more reactive than you want to be, the kind of tired that changes how you move through your day. That kind of tired changes you. And now, looking back, I can see it so clearly. My body wasn't being dramatic. It wasn't failing me. It was begging for gentleness. Not a vacation, not a break, gentleness. Gentleness in how I spoke to myself, gentleness in how I moved through my days, gentleness in how much I asked my body to carry. And I didn't know how to give that then. I didn't even know that's what I needed. I thought I just needed to be stronger, more patient, more resilient. But what I actually needed was to stop asking my body to survive everything. And I'm learning how to give it that now. Not all at once, not perfectly, but intentionally. How my kids felt my survival before I ever named it. There is a layer of this healing that has been the hardest to sit with, not because it's dramatic, not because it's loud, but because it's quiet. It's realizing how much my kids felt my nervous system before I ever had words for it. They felt my tension. They felt my urgency. They felt my reactivity. They felt how on guard my body stayed, how quickly my voice would change, how fast my emotions would rise. And they didn't experience it as stress. They experienced it as energy, as tone, as atmosphere, as the emotional climate of our home. Kids don't need explanations to feel these things. They don't need language. They feel it in the room. They feel it in how you enter a space. They feel it in how safe it feels to speak. And that's hard to admit because I love my kids more than anything, and I never wanted my nervous system to be something they had to manage. I wanted to be their safe place, their soft place, their calm place, but I can see now that I was living braced, living alert, living in survival mode, and even when I thought I was holding it together, my body was still loud. Sometimes my reactions were fast, sometimes my words were sharp, sometimes my patience was thin, not because I didn't love them, but because my nervous system was overwhelmed, because I was asking myself to carry more than I actually could. And this is the part that still makes me emotional. I didn't know how to be softer then. I didn't know how to regulate what my body was carrying. I didn't know how to give them calm because I wasn't living in calm. I was living in effort, in pressure, in holding everything up. And there were moments when I could see it on their faces, when they would get quieter, when they would retreat, when they would hesitate before bringing things to me, that hesitation stays with me because I never wanted my kids to feel like they had to brace when they were around me. I never wanted them to feel like they had to read my mood before speaking or decide if it was a good time to come to me. And sitting with that truth is uncomfortable, but avoiding it wouldn't help anyone. What I'm learning now is this. My kids are not asking for perfection. They are asking for presence. They are not asking for a mom who never gets overwhelmed. They are asking for a mom who can pause, who can breathe, who can come back to center. They are asking for safety, not control. And I am learning how to give them that. Not all at once, not perfectly, but intentionally. I am learning how to slow my voice, how to relax my shoulders, how to take a breath before I speak. I am learning how to notice when my body is escalating and interrupt it. Sometimes that looks like stepping away for a moment. Sometimes it looks like saying, I need a second. Sometimes it looks like choosing silence instead of reaction. And I am learning how to be gentler, not just with them, but with myself. Because when I am regulated, my home feels different, quieter, softer, safer. There is more room to breathe, more room to talk, more room to just be. And that is what I want my kids to grow up inside of. Not urgency, not tension, not pressure, but calm, presence, and peace. Teaching my body what safety feels like. For most of my life, I thought safety was something that lived outside of me, in people, in plans, in stability, in certainty. I thought if everything around me was okay, then I could finally relax. If the house was calm, if the schedule was set, if nothing unexpected happened, then I could breathe. But what I'm learning now is that safety is something your body has to learn, not just your mind. Because even when your life becomes quieter, your body might still be loud. Your shoulders still lift, your jaw still clenches, your breath still shortens, and that can feel confusing. You look around and think, why do I still feel like this? Nothing is wrong right now. But your nervous system doesn't update automatically. It holds memory. It holds patterns. It holds years of bracing. It remembers what it had to do to get you through. So now I am teaching my body something new, that it is allowed to rest, that it is allowed to soften, that it is allowed to feel safe. And I'm learning that this doesn't happen through big declarations. It happens through repetition, through consistency, through small moments that tell the body you're okay right now. I'm doing that in simple, gentle ways. Sometimes that looks like standing barefoot on the grass, letting my feet make contact with the earth beneath me, feeling something solid and steady hold me up, letting my breath slow down without forcing it, just noticing. Sometimes it looks like stepping outside and letting the sun hit my face, letting warmth remind my body that it is here, that it is alive, that it is not braced in the past anymore. Sometimes it looks like lifting my arms into the air and letting everything I've been holding release out through my fingertips, letting my shoulders drop, letting my chest soften, letting my breath deepen. Not dramatically, just intentionally. And these moments might look small from the outside, but inside my body, they are doing something important. In those moments, I can feel something change. My body exhales, my mind quiets, my chest loosens. I feel less rushed, less alert, less guarded, and more present, more rooted, more here. I'm learning that safety is not the absence of problems. It's the presence of regulation. It's the feeling of being able to stay with myself, even when things aren't perfect. It's the feeling of being at home inside your own body. And that kind of safety doesn't come from control. It comes from listening, from slowing down, from responding instead of reacting. That is the kind of safety I am choosing to build, not just for myself, but for my kids. Because when my body feels safe, my home feels different. There's more room to breathe, more room for patience, more room for softness, and that matters more than I ever realized. What I'm choosing now. There is a version of me that lived for a very long time in survival. She was strong, she was capable, she was tired, she held everything together, she showed up, she carried more than her share, she did what needed to be done even when it cost her, and I honor her. I really do. Because she didn't quit. She didn't fall apart. She didn't walk away when things got hard. She kept going because she thought she had to. Because people depended on her. Because her kids needed her. Because stopping didn't feel like an option. And that version of me deserves respect. She deserves compassion, but she is not the version of me I want to live as anymore. I don't want to live braced. I don't want to live rushed. I don't want to live on alert. I don't want my breath to feel shallow. I don't want my jaw to stay clenched. I don't want my shoulders to carry the weight of my entire life. I don't want my body to feel like it's constantly preparing for impact. I want my body to feel like a place I can rest. I want my home to feel calm. I want my kids to feel safe in my presence. I want my days to feel spacious instead of strained. I want there to be room to breathe, room to pause, room to respond instead of react. And I know this is not something that changes overnight. This is not a switch you flip. This is a practice, a choice, a returning. It's choosing again and again to come back to myself. Some days I will still get reactive. Some days my body will still brace. Because healing doesn't erase your history. But now I notice it. Now I pause. Now I breathe. Now I slow my body when it tells me to. Now I soften. And that is how healing actually happens. Not in perfection, but in awareness, not in big declarations, but in small, consistent choices. It happens when you catch yourself mid-reaction, when you take one breath instead of pushing through, when you choose calm even if it feels unfamiliar. I am choosing to be gentler with myself, to listen to my body, to protect my peace, to stop asking myself to survive everything. I am choosing to live in a way that my nervous system can exhale, a way that feels steadier, a way that feels more honest, a way that feels like home. And I am proud of that. Not because it looks impressive, not because it's dramatic, but because it feels true. And that matters. If this conversation stirred something in you, I want to leave you with this. Your body is not broken. It is learning. It is learning how to soften, how to breathe, how to feel safe again. So this week, I want to invite you to notice your breath. Just notice it. Notice if you're holding it. Notice if your shoulders are lifted. Notice if your jaw is tight. And when you notice, gently remind your body that it is safe right now. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to fix anything. Just notice and come back to yourself. As we move into February, we're going to be spending the month talking about love. what love looks like now, how it changes after hurt, and how we begin practicing love in quieter, more honest ways. Not just romantic love, but love for yourself. Love in how you parent, love in how you set boundaries, love in how you care for your nervous system. I'm creating a guided reflection journal to go along with our February conversations for anyone who wants something gentle and supportive to sit with between episodes. If that's something you're interested in, you can find more details on the website at mommadramaandtrauma.com. If this episode spoke to you, I would love for you to share it with someone who might need a gentler moment right now. You can also follow Momma Drama and Trauma on your favorite platforms so you can continue this healing journey with me, including Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook. And if you'd like to stay connected between these conversations, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Momma Drama and Trauma. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing yourself, and thank you for meeting yourself where you are. As always, you are strong, you are worthy, and your story matters. Until next time, take care of you.